E.T. is almost more about Spielberg than it is about other than Drew Barrymore. I couldn't tell you anyone that's in that movie. So
Completely.
It's like, do we just swing for the fences and like, who's the name? I don't like JJ for this, but who's the J? Is it Favreau? Is it Abrams? Is it Spielberg?
At a time of great crisis, in the boardrooms of Hollywood, the legends foretell the development executives will return to Reboot It.
Hey, welcome back to Reboot It. In case you didn't know, this is the 50th reboot, so we're celebrating here on Reboot It. Look at the Reboot Crew dance.
It's lighting up. Yeah. Demonetized.
The nice thing about our theme song is that you can dance to it, and I think that's the first time we've ever done it. So settle in, people. We're jumpy tonight. If this is your first time joining us, of course this is Reboot It, the only show you need for the golden age of intellectual property when every last one of your film and TV favorites will get a reboot. We're just here to show Hollywood how it's done. My name is Producer Bill. I was a development executive for 10 years, and now I'm doing actual creative work. Thank God. With me, as always, the Reboot Crew, starting with producer and co-host of Doug Defends, now on YouTube, Billy Business.
Thank you, guys. Go over when this is over and subscribe and watch that first episode.
There we go. And on the bottom row, co-host of The Greatest Pod, screenwriter and comedian, Ed Greer.
What's up, guys? I am so happy to be here with you guys, and I never would have thought we'd make it to 50. I thought we'd tear ourselves asunder, but no, we are a ship mightily battling through the waves of corporate mediocrity to do this job 50 times. I love
Ed,
it.
could you say that it's a miracle like unto the Big Bang?
I have said that, yes.
If you're going to say that, I got my Neil deGrasse Tyson space shirt on. So.
Oh, yeah. Synergy. That's what I'm talking about.
And finally, down in the corner, everybody's favorite comedian and co-host of The Greatest Pod, Mr. Ron Swallow.
Oh, you guys, what an exciting time we live in, 50 episodes. And if you enjoyed this 50th episode, by the way, subscribe to us as well.
Subscribe and hit the bell. It's our duty as YouTube content creators to tell you to do that. But let's get down to business, gentlemen. We are celebrating our 50th episode tonight with a non-franchise. I'm thinking about it. This is one of the few projects that we've done, maybe barring one or two movies here or there. Doesn't have a sequel, doesn't have a spin-off, doesn't have a cartoon, doesn't even have a comic book after the movie. This is a one and done, although I would say almost more than a franchise, it created a whole subgenre. And that's something that we'll have to talk about. But of course, we are talking about E.T., the Extraterrestrial, the 1982 classic directed by Steven Spielberg, which proved to America El Spielbergo can capture all of our hearts.
I like that Bill just muted himself because he was like, I just want to listen to the applause.
Well, dude, I really do think that we should, as we get into this, touch on the cult of personality that it made, and the fact that you could do something like Super 8, which is like a crappy action-y rip off of this, and be looked at as fresh and cool and start your career. You know what I'm saying? That's how much impact this subgenre of find alien, government wants to stop you, you ride your bikes in the sky, or you escape some kind of way, you understand the creature, some sort of understanding fosters this adventure between the kid and that whole thing. This is Mac and Me is because of this.
100%. Let me just set the stage a little bit. There is a rich tradition in history of a commoner finds a magical creature out in the woods. And that goes back to folklore immemorial. But when Steven Spielberg made E.T. the Extraterrestrial, we had yet to see it apply to aliens. It essentially takes the stranger in a strange land trope, one of the greatest in all of fiction, and turns it into a coming of age story about a little boy and his imaginary friend, only the imaginary friend is an alien. And like we said, this is not a franchise. This is an entire subgenre. And you can see the influence of E.T. in everything from Stranger Things, where the alien is actually a little girl who can't speak, who's a government experiment, to something like Earth to Echo, which is a beat-for-beat remake of E.T., only as a found footage movie. We see this trope time and time again. Lilo and Stitch was just in theaters for the big live-action version. That's an E.T. story. This idea of a kid who's going through a rough patch of growing up and through circumstance meets some sort of extraterrestrial or magical creature that comes into their life, changes it for the better, and usually at the end has to be given up, allowing them to go home. So the kid can grow up a little and learn to let go of that which they love. So, gentlemen, I guess my first question to you is, can we be making this for anybody other than just a young audience? Call it a 5 to 10-year-old audience. Should we even reckon with the idea of doing this for anybody else? What do we think?
I guess it kind of depends on which lane we pick, right? If it's like a legacy sequel, we're obviously targeting, I don't even know if it's millennials. I think it might be Gen Xers.
It's definitely Gen Xers.
Yeah. It's
might even be Gen Alphas.
It's not me. We'll talk about that later. But
If we're doing kids.
If it's legacy
Well,
sequel, then it's like no, you have to get them back in. But if it's like, hey, we are remaking this completely, then obviously I've always been in favor of making things for the next audience, not the one before.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to get into Elliot lore. Go ahead. But maybe we do. We go ahead, Ron.
Well, I mean, in theory, in the I don't know, the scope of the challenge, I feel like this specific movie is like a complete reboot. But I'm also, I'm not gonna get stuck on anything like that. We'll see where we go, right? Come on.
Well, I could proffer just really quickly some of the alleys that maybe we might need to know about before we trod them. Spielberg did develop a horror sequel where albino carnivorous versions of the ET alien came down, and the kids bike out to the ship like, "Hey, buddy, our buddies are back," and these monsters come out and grab them and torture them for 2 hours, and then Elliot gets tortured, and then ET comes and saves them and then drops them back off. Supposedly Spielberg developed that so that he could just crap it out and get it off the table because he didn't want to do an ET sequel. He really felt as though ET was a one-off idea. I just want to present that. And also this whole angle of whether we're going to do a sequel. They did have a like Comcast commercial where ET got to meet Elliot's family. You know what I mean? I just,
Are we hack enough to include commercials in franchise? Like that freaking Big Lebowski commercial they did a few years back? I'm
man enough to say I don't know. But I just want to put that out there in case we were thinking about like, yeah, check it out. It'd be really novel if Alien, I just wanted to make it known that like we know that. Mostly that was maybe for the comments.
Fair enough.
Don't bring that up like we missed it.
Here's a question for you guys. Like, when we were in the 80s, early 80s, the idea of aliens, like, sure, had been around and people have been worried about aliens for a long time or whatever. But there was like a pretty big uptick in maybe aliens are real in that early 80s time. Mm-hmm. And I wonder what would be, how would a 9-year-old today or a 10-year-old today react to an alien? Are we trying to tell what would be a new version of that story? Like, would it just become an internet sensation because it's an alien? Would the kid try to exploit it? Would, how do kids react to, is the reaction to divorces and loss different nowadays? I don't know that, but like, are those things that we could explore in this retelling that when you think about the idea of what ET's really supposed to be about, it's about, you know, a kid having gone through trauma and how that kid handles trauma when it meets a crazy little alien guy. I mean, that's kind of what it is. Sure, it's also a pretend, you know, like almost like you said, like a pretend friend, but like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm curious, like, what do you guys think about that idea? Like an idea where we explore what the modern age of finding a young, innocent, kind alien would be like.
You know, the thing that sparks to me when you say that is like, I cannot think of a more infuriating movie than an earnest look at 10-year-olds on social media. And I just think about like, we find an alien, and so we're going to create, YouTube videos or TikTok videos or whatever. That sounds like a movie that would make me want to punch a wall and break my own hand. I just,
Billy, how much YouTube is your kid watching?
It's a problem. It's a real problem, and she's very, very, very young. So
okay, what if the story...
I agree with you. Sorry, I just want to say I agree with you, Bill. I can't watch that movie. I mean, I could barely watch this movie. I can't watch that movie.
Well, what if the story is not about that, but about getting away from social media? What if instead of... But
I don't know. I feel like we're swimming around different themes that it's like we're trying to connect finding an alien to it and shoehorning that in. But it's like, to me, the other big thing for ET was like, grown-ups are bad and dumb, and authority is bad and dumb, and no one listens to kids. So in that regards, if like, I think that's kind of a universal thing, like a universal theme for younger people is like, I don't feel heard. I mean, shit, we could list off 55 movies that we all love that have that theme. It's like, in that sense, then like to go back to your very original question, it's like, then yes, it is for kids. It should be like, we acknowledge that you in this point of your life don't feel heard. And then to wrap it right down to your comment, Ron, that's like, okay, but what does that mean today? Like the latchkey kid thing of the 80s was kind of the way into that ET, but it's like, what does it mean to not be heard as a kid today? Like, I don't know. Could the four of us even reasonably try to figure out what that means?
A great question.
Feels a little bit like a tall order. I mean, I will say I do think the idea of like nobody listens to me, authority just tries to push me around, and like they don't have any time for what I have to say, even though what I have to say might be valuable, is such an important aspect of the original ET. And frankly, traumatizing kids is a little bit of an important aspect of the original ET. Like, ET is a few years older than I am. I grew up watching it on VHS. Those scenes of Elliot and ET in the quarantine tent with all the government stooges around, like, traumatized me. And I will say, I will speak on behalf of Steven Spielberg when I say not enough movies nowadays are interested in traumatizing kids with horrible imagery like that. And it's not traumatizing in the sense of like being gore. It's not like, oh my God, this is awful. It's traumatizing in the sense of like Bambi's mom gets shot. You know what I mean? And so it's
like those mature themes that they sneak in or blatantly put in,
All I'm saying is I think this reboot is successful if we can make a kid connect to it emotionally enough that we break their hearts. So that's just something that is on my radar.
This is a stack of tall orders. This is a Dagwood sandwich of tall orders as prescribed by you guys. I think I would like to look at it as from what I recall, it seemed to be sort of an adventure tale. And it was this thing of like the kids themselves rescued E.T. They like pulled a military mission to like rescue him from actual soldiers, which was like incredulous, but awesome if you're a kid. I'm thinking about stuff like that. I'm thinking about those powers that it seems like I would like to posit maybe that I don't know that E.T. can just float around on his own. I think there's something about his super love for Elliot and the situations and whatever, and this symbiosis or some weird stuff that I think that maybe caused them to fly. Their belief, almost like some Peter Pan jazz. Anyway, the point is, I just feel like E.T. as this guy who comes into your life, and then he's a stranger in a strange land. You send him back home. I think there's kind of an obvious story of us trying to figure out how to make our Elliot go to that land and be a stranger in that land and see what that's like or something.
I don't want to cut you off, but that's exactly what Pixar's Elio is.
No, like, I know, but he wants to do that. I know that, but he wants to do that, and it looks like a bunch of fluff. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like there's any danger being over there. No, I'm just saying. I'm saying why
is the most sappy, saccharine sack of shit that I've ever had to sit through. Wow. I'll say that now because you didn't ask me at the beginning.
I did not. So I skipped that part.
Yeah.
And that is what I am saying. I am saying why ape the worst parts and the worst instincts of this thing in abeyance to fans that literally don't exist. I'm saying whatever kind of alien story. I'm just saying whatever alien story we want to do, however we want to do it. I think as long as it has the heart of the bond between the two characters. I don't think it has to be intrinsically sappy, nor do I think it has to be, this. It has to be affecting, and I would like maybe somebody to cry at the end, but I don't know if it's the same cry. Are they crying exactly again at him tearfully saying goodbye to the dude again? You know what I mean? We don't have to do that, is what I'm saying.
Correct. Ron,
I've got an interesting idea. You guys mentioned, Billy, I believe, mentioned that kids still go through not being listened to. And what does that look like? And how do we paint that picture? Well, what if to the kids' eyes, they can see the alien as the alien, but to everyone else, the alien looks like a kid that's in their class.
They live for 10-year-olds,
but it's not scary. It's a kid that they really like, that they want to introduce their parents to this wonderful friend who treats them kindly and is from a different planet, and no one believes him because until they believe the kid, they can't see the alien or something along those lines.
Here's the other thing too to throw out is like, and I know we try not to do this too much on this show, but we are entering in a period where there's going to be a lot of kids right now watching this that are watching what's happening with ICE and what's happening with, this authority coming and taking people away. It's top of mind, right? I kind of like what you're saying a little bit, Ron, of like my friend, the alien, but there's this looming threat that at any moment someone could find out and take them away. Like, it's very basic, and that's very much what ET is to me, Bill, I can't read that face, but it is a face.
No, I kind of love that. What sparked to me is the idea that, like, from a kid's perspective, whether it's an ICE raid or whether it's ET, their idea is just, what's wrong with, like, this person is just like me. Why are they in trouble just for being alive, essentially? And so I love that. And I mean, there's a lot of that in the original ET, but you couple that with what Ron was saying, whether it's Coneheads, whether it's They Live, the idea of setting up a scenario in which, like, aliens are living among us, or a single family of aliens is living among us, and it's ET, but it's less like a little kid is lost in our suburban neighborhood, but more like a couple aliens are hiding out in our suburban neighborhood. Or even like, God, you do a riff on the Superman story, and it's like our neighbors adopted a kid, but the kid is actually an alien. and he grew up with us. We've been living next door to him for 7 years. And now we're all 8 years old, but it turns out this kid is an alien.
I also think this, though, I kind of love keeping the original's lack of parents, at least in the case of like E.T. Like E.T. may have crashed. I'm not putting that out there. I'm just saying, if he crashed, you make the best of it. Or you come here on a lark, like you run away, and you come here and you assimilate, and you can do your holographic or whatever sort of mental technology stuff to make people not be able to see you, but the kids are pure of heart so they can see right through it. And you're like a kid, you go to school and you try to experience like humanity or whatever, and then you get these friends, and then you get discovered because you actually make friends instead of blending into the background or whatever. Maybe he's been doing that for years. Maybe he's this weird quiet kid in their class, like Ron's saying. I love all that they live stuff for kids. That's money. To me, that's real money.
Here's another thought. One of the things that like all of E.T.'s imitators and successors have done is they've essentially kept the same setting. And that original is set in sort of this timeless suburban neighborhood, right? It's any suburb USA. What if we're not in a suburb? And that could go one of probably two ways. Either we're out on a farm, which is very much the Superman story, and a little bit not that relatable, maybe, although the middle of the country would disagree. But the other way is put it in a city. And I think back, I produced a show for History Channel called Hangar One, and it was all about UFO close encounter stories. I have a lot of depth of knowledge on that. But one of the most compelling versions of a close encounter I ever heard was a guy tell me that when he was 16, 17 years old, him and a couple buddies were hanging out on the roof of their apartment building in Manhattan. And it was late at night and they were probably drinking. But at some point, they were just watching the lights of the city of New York from atop their apartment building. And they saw like a glowing orb come down, directly overhead, hover over them, and then shoot off into the distance. And they all were afraid to like mention it at first, but they all corroborated, wait, you saw that too? You saw that too? And it was this very incredulous thing. Like, did we all just see a UFO in the middle of a city? And like, what the hell could that mean? And even as he told me the story, it's like he had tears in his eyes. And I don't know, there's something, again, going with the ice raid comparison, there's something interesting to the idea of like an alien child lost or hiding or whatever in a major city feels pregnant with possibility. And I don't know that I've seen it. That doesn't spark for me. The closest thing might be Dunstan Checks In, which is about a lost orangutan in New York City.
I was thinking of Home Alone too.
Sure.
Well, and my only quibble with that would be how we like hide his ship or put his ship somewhere. But I think that's cool as hell too. Where would it be in a city? And like, I think it's always cool in these movies for the main character to get to see the alien's ship. And we could do a really cool riff on that if we don't have it in such a pastoral setting. If we find it's not in a bog, it maybe is the holographic extra floor of a skyscraper, but that's kind of passe. But you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, you want to really integrate it, like
the shadow, baby.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying. So like, just throwing that out there. But you know what I mean.
Actually, there's something cool, Ron. You were talking about before, like what do aliens even mean to kids nowadays? I'll just share with you kind of my most kooky UFO take. I always have felt like if UFOs are not of this earth, like aliens from another planet is the least plausible theory for what UFOs would be. To me, it would be more plausible that they're either time travelers or from another dimension, because otherwise you're still dealing with astronomical distances where it's like, how are you going to come however many thousands, hundreds of light years and just like hang around in the atmosphere? So, I mean, what if we have a stowaway And it could still be an alien, doesn't change anything about the story, except, Ed, to your point, this idea that there's like another reality layered on top of ours. I'm thinking of a panel in the Mark Miller, Frank Quitely Authority run where it's revealed that like where this mad genius is keeping all of these super people that, he has created for some super covert arm of the government is actually in a giant bunker that is dimensionally phase shifted from New York City. So their secret headquarters is essentially laid on top of New York City in another dimension. Like, if we're just talking about crazy kooky visuals and something that would be a new riff on finding an alien, like some sort of a stowaway or lost family, lost kid, whatever, hiding out from another dimension, or through time, he's a future human so advanced that he looks like an alien. All just interesting thoughts. I don't know, just throwing them out for the group.
Just to build we're not building yet, but the thing that makes me think about that is the phase shifting. Like, there's a dope ass episode of Star Trek where these characters basically got killed, but they didn't get killed. They got out of phase, and they were able to observe our reality and walk around in it. And they actually observed their own funeral because, in Star Trek, get these ashes in the thing and shoot it out into space. We got work to do, So basically they died in this thing and they got to see their own funeral because they were out of phase. And they were like, are we dead? Is this the afterlife? And they were like, nah, screw it. This is Star Trek, not Fantasyland. So they figured out that they were out of phase, figured out how to get a message to the people that were in phase to get them out of phase. I'm not saying we got to do all that. I'm saying somebody being out of phase, a kid being lost with his personal ship, out of phase with his reality, either or even if he is an alien and he's crashed, either way, he's out of phase with his people. He cannot get back to them, and our kid has to help him literally do that some kind of way. I think that's money.
I would just say, like, keep it simple. The original ET is just so simple. He's just an alien that got lost and he's got to get home. Like, we don't spend a lot of time on the science fiction-y part of it.
Let me interrupt you because I don't know. Again, as a kid who grew up with ET, some of my favorite stuff, it was like ET building the phone, ET taking all of like the toys and stuff from the shed and the garage and essentially jerry-rigging like an interstellar phone so that he could phone home. I mean, there's a reason why ET Phone Home is the remembered tagline of that movie. And Ed's talking about a character being stranded with his ship. That wasn't the case with E.T. Like, the E.T. lived or died based on whether or not he could build a machine that could send a signal to his home planet so that they'd come get
Yes, I hear you. I get that. I'm just saying phasing and dimensions and stuff, like, it sounds very complicated. And especially trying to explain that to a kid, like, I'm just saying, like, keep the premise simple. If my 5-year-old asks me, where's ET's parents? It's like, oh, he's trying to build something so he can call them. Simple, easy. If it's
For
like,
sure.
wait, why is this kid doing this? Like, well, sweetheart, there's 3 dimensions and we live on this one, so we must phase. You know what I mean?
I guess the only reason why I started down that road at all was like, the mechanism for how he calls home and or how he gets home should be different than just, I'm going to jerry-rig a giant signal, and maybe it isn't that different. Like, but if he's trying to get back to his home dimension, it's like, I'm going to jerry-rig something that does X, Y, Z. That doesn't have to be any more complicated than just get in touch with my people. But it's just, the visuals you're seeing become different than that original ET. Because if we're not changing enough, sorry, Ed, but last point, if we're not changing enough, then it almost becomes like, can we just do a beat for beat remake of the original ET just with like updated visuals? I don't know.
This is all I had to say. We can move on. I think I do kind of agree with Billy. Your case was impassioned. Doug defends on YouTube right now. But what I do agree with Bill and myself, and most likely Ron on, is I do believe we have to up the get home jazz. And I would proffer, just to get some ideas flowing, why isn't it that Elliot, I like this whole 10-year-old jazz. I love a 10-year-old character being in here. I don't know if that has to be the only dang character in here. It could be like Lilo and Stitch have an older character and them. And all I'm saying is, how do you get an alien into upper atmosphere away from the feds and ICE to get him back home? To me, that's an adventure. And you could do it if you figured out how to get on SpaceX. If you knew a person who was high up at Amazon, there's a lot of ways you could simply get through atmosphere. And not simply, it would not be simple. It'd be quite complex. Maybe it could be a story. I don't know. But how do you get in a private way this thing to space so you can go home? Because this whole phone jazz, that's over. To me, that's over. But the communication device jazz, to me, that's over. Get them to space somehow. How would we do that? Reasonably and for a kid adventure. Because in that movie, they kidnapped him from the government. That was literally impossible on every level conceivable. And they let the kids do it because it was great. And then they
want them to steal a spaceship?
I don't know. I'm saying somehow
kind of fun.
They could go to space. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of fun that they steal a spaceship
with their alien.
They gotta get kid-sized
kids in space with their damn alien. Let's get nuts. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, shit.
I'm not opposed to at least the idea of kids trying to steal a spaceship. Like,
even if they steal it from the government, you know what I'm saying? Even if they steal, and the thing is, they steal it from the government. They're the only ones that can perceive where it is. That goes back to the jazz that Bill and me were talking about. Maybe if it's some kind of hidden, some kind of way, or like Ron was saying, you could see it with certain glasses. If it's hidden some kind of way, and these guys know where it is, and the government maybe doesn't quite know where it is, and it's a race to get it so they can get homeboy home, and there's all these complications. You know what I'm saying? Just spitballing here.
I mean, the more I think about it, the more I'm on board with the idea of like, you essentially make an Elon Musk caricature as the villain of the movie. And we're like, Ed, you keep coming back to the idea that like there's an alien spaceship hidden somewhere that we need to get to. And I don't know why I'm not vibing with that, but I'm also not going to try to veto it.
I literally don't care. I want a spaceship in here. And if it is the realistic complication of trying to get us on this goofy ass dude spaceship, that's why I mentioned all those billionaires that's a practical way to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, once this space alien is on the spaceship, not going to have a hard time flying this archaic spaceship, right? Like he's the pilot. Everybody else just has to get him through all of these.
No, I get that. That's very, I think that's good. As well as like there is a threshold though. It isn't just get up there. There's something at the end to defeat, and that's the bad guy, Elon Musk or whatever, doing his thing to like either try to undermine this mission or try to meet the aliens himself and like present him. Like think about what Elon would do if the possibility of talking directly to aliens first presented itself. Any of these billionaires, think about what they would think of that. They'd be a Mountainhead situation.
Well, I mean, if you want to turn this into a franchise, he in the end lets them escape, puts a little homing chip on the ship, and finds out where they go. I mean, if you want to make a trilogy out of the whole thing, and the next one is the evil version of whoever we make tech billionaire is now hunting aliens. I mean, I don't know. That overcomplicates it, but we could just start it off with the first one if we want.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely Billy on that. I really feel like we definitely have enough, and if they want to throw the money at us, we can do all kind of sequel stuff. We could do like Spielberg. We could throw out something way worse than that and get out of it, get our money. You know what I'm saying? Because we're done with this, because we're on to our next reboot, episode 51. But episode 51. This should have been 51. Area 51. You beat that if it wasn't for my David.
Oh man,
dang, we missed it.
I mean,
stop. Let's do Doc Savage right now. Reverse course.
That's very funny. I don't know. I mean, I hate the idea always of like, let's plan for a trilogy, because that just feels like
a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, you're counting your chickens. However,
I'm just throwing it out there.
No. I mean, however, there's a great sweet spot. I feel like that, a ketamine-fueled billionaire, without getting into the ketamine, hits as far as like an antagonist who can be scary and threatening and provide real stakes. But if his motivation is like, I'm going to be the first person to talk to aliens, I am the emissary from Earth. Like, if they're coming to negotiate, they talk to me. There's something like that's just goofy enough to not be super threatening, but also ring like really, really true. So it's like he's just so angry and so upset at the thought that like some punk kids are going to represent Earth talking to aliens. Like, screw those. I hate kids. You know what I mean? Like, that's a great villain for a 4-quadrant movie.
Dude, and he has like 12 kids through all these different scientific means. He doesn't see them as people. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's his backstory, is what I'm saying. I'm trying to flesh this all the way out. But the bottom line is, he doesn't see kids as people, really. And if he does see them as people, they're not fully formed, obviously.
So is it a situation where it's like only the top level billionaires know that like aliens are out there and he wants to make first contact and the kids just happen to find this alien first? Or is it like Independence Day? There's an alien spaceship right above Earth, everyone's freaking out, and this group of kids just so happen to be like, oh shit, are you the alien that's like, is that your ship up there? You know?
I kind of love that. I mean, going back to what Ron was saying at the very beginning of all this, the idea that like you'd have this kid who in that they live style was like hiding among us, has a group of friends, is really good friends with them because they all grew up together. But then a ship appears and it's like, oh my God, that's my ship. And so in that respect, he like decides to come out to them essentially like, guys, okay, you don't know this. I'm an alien. And we need to get me to that ship because otherwise I'm going to be stranded on Earth. You know what I mean? And then it becomes like, no way are you an alien. And, you get some good comedy out of like, no, let me show you what I could do or whatever. And then, it could even turn out, again, in a they live situation, that there's like things that are hidden that could help them. It's like, we got to go and get this thing and it's not going to be my spaceship, but we could use it to break into SpaceX. And the whole thing becomes like, we got to pull one over on Elon Musk so we could steal his spaceship and get to orbit so they can pick me up. It's pretty fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. I just saw a sort of throwback to E.T. where like maybe one of the kids is on crutches and his leg has been broken. He's got this cast with all the people signed on it or whatever. And he goes, oh, you don't believe me? And instead of him doing it with his finger, so it's not magic, he takes out a tool, heals the kid's leg. He's back to normal.
It's actually pretty funny if he's like, why didn't you do that 3 months ago, dick face?
It's like, and then the kid could be like, well, I need all 5 of you ambulatory if this plan's gonna work. You know what I mean? It's like okay, now I'm switching into a little bit of alien mode of like, all right, bro, like let's not be little babies now.
I like the idea of it. I like the idea of it being like hanging out with your friend and it's the last summer before he moves away. That type of vibe,
Yeah. That's great. And yeah, we can intone. And as Bill's been saying forever, that they have been friends for 8 years. And this is the last gasp. This is if they were older, it'd be the prom and all that, sort of jazz. Yes. That's beautiful.
And you still got the letting go of one of your best friends scenario. Yeah. Because I don't know about you guys, but I had friends move away, and it was like, it was a
tough,
bummer.
Yeah. So, it's the emotional heart of it. We definitely got that. And the thing about the kids having to put one over and Bill's earlier ice idea, as Elon Musk gets closer, as these kids are pulling these shenanigans and getting these items that very few people can see, or maybe only they can see, and maybe Homeboy has some sort of way, maybe they're beating Elon to these different artifacts or whatever that will get you, that will do whatever that they need to be doing. All I'm saying is if Elon gets some sort of sense that this character is on Earth, him pulling like an ice raid You know what I'm saying? Being able to personally finance like a Blackwater ice raid on the school where the kids are because he knows the alien is there.
But also think about this. What if one of the kids, hold on, wait. What if one of the kids, like their dad or their mom, because like think about it. If there was an alien ship overhead, these parents are going to be freaking out. And here's the only 4 kids in the world that know what that alien ship actually is. I bet you, like, again, it's that we don't trust any of the parents because the parents are like, we absolutely support rounding up anyone that could potentially be an alien from that ship. So it's like even their parents are kind of against them. And it sets up things where it's just like, hey, you can't leave the house. There's a freaking alien ship up there. So it's like, hey, we got to sneak him out of the house to go get this, you know?
Yeah, these kids are against curfew the whole time because, because this furor. That's great.
And I would guess that someone like Elon probably has access to cameras, and all of a sudden a kid having his leg healed would give him a signal of, oh, that's weird. We got an alien spaceship and now some kid is walking completely normal, or his arm's working, or whatever it was that was broken. It could just be a brace so we don't have to bust out of the cast or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like something.
Well, but also any idea of an alien presence or weird technology being used or energy spikes or whatever, we could reasonably have Homeboy be somewhat aware of that in order to investigate it. But I do kind of like this spare world that Billy is envisioning, though, with like this kind of quarantine during the major part of the action of the movie. Obviously, it's not that way through the whole thing. But yeah, I mean,
again, it's like if we're trying to talk to this generation, they're the ones that went through COVID. Yep. They're the ones that are going through these ice raids. It's like, let's put that all in there in some way, you know?
I really dig the idea that like the world is on lockdown, because that again turns it into a very different movie than the original E.T., where it was like, oh, they locked the world down, but essentially not until the third act. And this idea that like from the very beginning, this is a world where everybody's looking for you. You got to sneak around, whatever. I think that's very fun. Getting the phone call. Oh boy.
He's probably still mad about Pokemon.
50 reboots, huh? How many of them have gotten made?
Ooh. Ouch, sir.
I mean, you can ask how many have gotten stolen.
Yeah, you guys think you're real hot stuff. Well, let me tell you something. Once you've engineered a $10 billion merger between 2 premier entertainment companies, that's when you become hot stuff. Until then, you're nothing. Nothing.
Fair enough. Truly.
So, E.T., directed by one of my favorite directors, Steven Spielberg. I mean, I think it's probably one of his lesser works. It's not a classic, I would say. But let me tell you something. Now that we're going after new market segments, there's one that I'm so excited about. It's the Christian audience. Give me something that's like spiritual, that's about a belief in God saving kids, like those God's Not Dead movies. That's what E.T. should be about. It's this untapped market across America. None of the other studios want to play in that space. We're going to carve ourselves a niche, and it's going to be made of Christians, baby. That's where we're setting up shop. E.T. It's about kids anyway. It's, it's about the power of love and friendship and glowing fingers and all those things. I think Jesus's fingers glowed, whatever.
They glue.
Should be like peanut butter and jelly. Put them together. It's gonna be bonkers. It's gonna be a bonanza. All right, so E.T. with a huge Christian overtone. Belief in God saves the world. All right, I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
I can't help with that. I will be silent for the rest of this reboot.
The first thing I always think that I think of something like coming off of Zaslav or Peters or whatever first, because my mind is always working on like how can we skirt it. And one thing I was thinking about on this one is there are so many of these crystal heads, and I talk about all types of crystal, that believe like aliens are God. And to me, that's as bad as zealotous any religion. To me, because it's just as ridiculous, and it also gets into like low-key racist territory, like talk about these fools came here and built the pyramids and jazz, and it just gets weird, and I don't like it. I think it sucks, and I think this movie being some sort of rebuke against that would sit just well with me, and I know it would sit well with a lot of Christians. That's as close as I can get to it.
Well, you know, the thing that popped in my head was like, I wonder if you could do something like the third, there was Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of Dawn Treader, where they never outright come out and say like, oh, the big lion is Jesus. Like it is, but it's not. And in the third one, he's basically like there. He's like, hey, by the way, you can't come back to Narnia, but you can know me in your world as something else. And that's all they ever say. And they kind of just leave it at that. And I wonder if
dude, okay, just
I bet Ed's thinking the same thing.
Dude,
go for it,
dude. In the process of the space adventure, at one point, the kid ET dies, sacrificing himself for the other kids for some survival. I think there should be a little bit of a survival mechanic when they get on the ship. I think there's shenanigans. I think Elon Musk doing bad stuff to like try to whatever. There's also anyway. The point is, in that conflagration, which I think should have some heat and some trauma for kids, I think ET sacrifices himself and dies, but is reborn in his alien form, the ascendant alien form that everybody can see, to show that he is an alien. He is not just a kid. He died for our sins and came back as his true form to show his true message at the end. My brother, that shit is hot.
That is hot. I was going to say that the aliens are going to destroy everything, but our alien buddy is our savior and sacrifices his friends, his friendships to go back with his family and then saves everybody. But you know what? I like yours better. So
I mean, I think yours works because I think whatever we do, it's got to be an allegory, because we also don't want to alienate, like China and all these other markets that do not have a predominantly Christian demographic, right?
Can I? Yeah. All right. Everything Ed said, I can 100% get on board with. I'm just going to throw this out there as a dumbest possible interpretation. What if it's just City of Angels with kids? What if instead of an alien, it's literally an angel who gets stranded on Earth for some reason? And so I don't think we could still call it ET. That'd be weird. But like, what if it's the ET story? What if it's the ET story with like just a fallen angel as opposed to an alien?
So then how do we create that fervor where everyone's locked? Like, what's the looming threat that even like the adults are like, we have to lock down?
I think it's they would. I think this is kind of a no-brainer, guys. It's the thinking of evangelical Armageddon. The ship is the closest thing we've had to something weird like that, and I think that a lot of people would consider aliens coming here and hovering over us ominously as end of days, time to sign it up, drink some Kool-Aid. I think there'd be a lot of Branch Davidians / those fools that wore Nikes, those cults that kill themselves when they see weird stuff like that. There'd be a lot of that stuff. There'd be a lot of things that we could interpret spiritually that are happening. To Bill's point, I mean, it is an allegory. I think you're right on that about the City of Angels thing. I don't know about angel, but like the interpretation of the alien as an angel is really good.
No, I was saying literally, but going with your pitch, Ed, what could be really interesting and fit it into a pro-Christian box? What if the Elon Musk villain character is explicitly, yes, atheistic, but also has sort of a messianic utopian view of the aliens arriving? Like to the Elon Musk character, this is his rapture. This to him is like, this is what I've believed in my entire life. This is what I've waited for my entire life. These things are going to save me and deliver me. And all you got to do then is put in our kid ET's mouth, like, we're not saviors, we're not gods, we're just living things, and we believe there's a higher purpose also. You know what I mean? Like you give him like one or two just good lines of like, things happen for a reason. I believe in a higher purpose. Like when his friends are doubting, it's like, I believe that together we can achieve this. There is a purpose for us.
And there was a reason that he crashed. He was on a survey mission that he'd done 1,000 times. There was a reason why he crashed. There was a reason why all this jazz has happened, because this is the way that I kind of like what Ron was saying earlier, kind of like, if this is the way our peoples are supposed to meet, right? If this is the way our peoples are supposed to meet in this loving friendship of kids, rather than this avaricious monster meeting them first, there was a reason that to build that rapport on Earth in secret, to get all this jazz together, to get this perfect A team of kids to do what Ron said earlier. I think it got lost in crosstalk, a little bit of a Goonies adventure that's this important. A Goonies adventure that is this important is magnificent. So like, yeah, we put them on that, and there was a reason for it. And that could be one of his big speeches, is like, this is what we were meant to do this when they need to buck up. We were meant to meet. This was how it was supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Can we start breaking down a little bit? Like, all right, if it's going to be a group of kids, what's that group going to look like? And what I mean by that is sort of like, what's their relationship to our main character who's hiding in plain sight? We may need to get a little more specific to the, how did this alien end up on Earth hiding in plain sight? I love the alien mothership appears in orbit. Earth goes into lockdown. Elon Musk starts, or our version of Elon Musk starts furiously making preparations to become the ambassador of Earth and make first contact with these things. And then, Ron, you pitched earlier that like Elon Musk becomes aware of the alien on Earth. But to me, give the agency to the kids. It's more like they become aware that Elon Musk is going to take a rocket ship into space. And they're like, we either need to steal or be on that rocket. And so we're going to go and do a bunch of adventures to get there. And obviously then they will cross his path as they're doing that. Okay. But who is it that's going to be doing that? And to me, I think, whoever the main character is, the Elliot character, has to, I don't know. Somebody mentioned earlier, like the last summer with a friend before they move away. Yeah. And I feel like that should be literal, right? So it's like, whatever their relationship is, like they're getting ready to go, whether it's as simple as like, oh, we're going to start middle school, but like they're getting ready for some new adventure that's going to happen sometime in the indeterminate future, but this is going to rip them apart. And so part of our adventure becomes like making peace with saying goodbye. We're going to have to go.
Absolutely starting middle school, by the way.
Yeah, like, 100%.
Yeah.
But also, I have a pitch because, as many of you know, I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I lived in an apartment complex for my some of my younger years, and I am still friends with like 3 of the people who I lived in that apartment complex with, and part of that was just these were the buddies that I lived with, and when you create bonds when you're young, they're strong bonds. And you're friends with the people who are near you. Like you either figure out a way to be friends or you have no friends. I mean, legitimately. So I think it'd be interesting that they all live in the same apartment complex. And it also like one of the things that me and Lance and Carl and his younger brother Todd and my younger brother Stefan would do, there was this bush that had like an overhanging, and you could go inside the bush, and from the outside, you could not tell that anybody was in the bush, but there was like a little way to get in there. And inside of it, there was this space that we could all sit in, and we would like hang out and tell stories and, just be dumbasses like kids do. And so my point being that those are the type of things that I think a lot of kids who lived in apartment complexes have. So having them all be lower to middle class people who live in an apartment complex together so that friendship makes a lot of sense. And then also sometimes you do end up at 2 different middle schools or 2 different high schools, depending on where you live in places. So
for sure. I was actually suggesting the idea that they were going to end up at the same middle school.
I think it'd make more sense.
Yeah, and one of the characters is like, I can't do this without you, essentially, and has to sort of wrestle with that throughout the adventure. And so like the Elliot character's story is about learning to, be confident enough in yourself that you're not using the other person as a crutch, sort of a thing.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, I definitely dig that because that was their friend that got them through all this jazz. I also think I'm just going to throw it out there. This sort of Benetton ad of inner city kids and the weird white boy that they hang out with. Because if we make E.T. a literal minority, we're going to get savaged, and I don't need it. So I think a strange white boy. You never met this weird white boy's parents. They come to your sister's quinceañera and stuff, but they don't never bring no damn parents. Where's your parents? Oh, my mom's working a double. You know what I'm saying? This kid's got the patois of being an urban little urchin down, but you never see his parents. You never really go back to his place. He's always popping up at 8 o'clock in the morning, bamming on your window to play Sega or whatever. That's this kid, Eat
some cereal that your mom made.
Yeah, he's always hungry. This freaking kid's always hungry, and he's just your buddy. He's always been there, almost like an imaginary friend, but you and your friend group can see him and you go to school. But you never really get that other side of him. And now in this final adventure.
I kind of love the idea that if they are all in one apartment building, he actually lives, I don't know that it would be like in a condemned apartment, but he lives in a place where you're not supposed to be living. And so it's like he's essentially holed away and maybe has been constructing some kind of crazy device, but it's taken him like 6, 7 years.
I love that a big detritus pile that he invites his friends over. Like, do you guys want to see where I live? Yeah, we've been wanting to whatever. And it's like, all right, come on. And it's like this weird, like
it could be that bush
slum,
I just told you
slum
about.
palace. Yeah. This weird slum palace logged with stuff.
The bush is what sparked it for me, Ron. But like, if they're in a city and it's almost like, I like the idea that it's just 3-4 kids that all live in the same apartment building, and like maybe they get bullied by older kids. Like we have to show them in a situation where like going to middle school feels harrowing, right? Not just because it's a change, but because like they're the outcasts. That's the idea, and they only have each other. And maybe in that apartment building, like, don't nobody go to the 11th floor because the 11th floor is, there's asbestos or something, and they haven't fixed it because the slumlord that runs the apartment won't fix the 11th floor. So it's like a couple throwaway lines from somebody's mom early on, like, hey, if you guys are going to go playing, don't go playing on that 11th floor. But it turns out that the 11th floor is right.
Yeah.
But
and it's also haunted, and the Candyman's up there, and
I was gonna say
all that stuff that kids say.
Throw in the urban legends that the kids would make up. Someone was killed up there. I heard.
Right.
Right. And they think that their ET buddy lives in a building down the street because that's always what he says. But it turns out, oh, you've been living here all along, and you've been building a crazy sci-fi device right here in our building. I just there's a nice rolling series of revelations there where it's just, you think he's just a kid, you think he lives down the street, everything that Ed said, he's a little weird, but whatever. And now we find out, no, he's been holed up in the condemned floor of our building. He's built a crazy device. That's why the alien spaceship appeared. And he's telling us all of this because he's enlisting us to help him steal Elon Musk's rocket. Like that's, I don't know.
Yep.
That's the best first act.
It's the best conveyance on this planet at the time that is not as heavily guarded as a NASA thing. Just very simply to the alien mind. Yeah.
So also there's got to be some kind of, so earlier it made me think like, okay, well, why doesn't this alien spaceship just come down into Earth and pick up the kid, right? So there's got to be some kind of thing where maybe it's not like it only flies through space It would be with physics. That would actually make sense, right?
Sure.
Because
they don't have a landing vehicle, or like they just don't want to be seen as invading. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and he, but they, if somebody, like if that rocket takes off towards them and I'm not on that rocket, they'll know I'm not on the rocket and they'll just leave me. And
okay. How
I
about
think it's just like they're just like honking outside your friend's door, you know? Like they're just honking the horn, like, come on, I'm not coming in there, you know?
But before we get all the way down here, I would like an alternate pitch that I think figures this all out.
Okay.
It's seen as a giant, fast-moving object coming for Earth, like unto an asteroid. How would we conceivably see this thing, understand that it's a ship? It's the size of Texas and it's coming for us. And maybe it's even geodesic shaped. Who says they got to look like a ship? Maybe it would be indiscriminate from our eye from an asteroid. And it's coming, and it's coming fast. The evangelicals be like, well, this is it. Second dinosaur event. God's coming back. Boom. They start acting weird. All the crystal. And I think there'd be very few people who maybe consider it an alien object. And I think Elon Musk and some of these people, maybe we're pumping him up a little bit. The people who are actually smart that he enslaves around him could maybe have an inkling that this might be a ship. And so he starts doing all the stuff we're saying, but acting on that knowledge. But the regular populace isn't acting as though it's an alien conveyance. And that way it's got even more weirdness that he's telling you, yes, that's a ship. It's coming. And if I don't get up to it, that's the thing we still haven't figured out. If I don't get up to it, X.
That's my main issue because, like, I just think about like why would the ship stay up there? Obviously they're waiting for their kid. Like, do they communicate?
I mean, I feel like
how does governments react? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I mean, I feel like from a story perspective, give him. He either broke the thing that he needs to get up into space. Like, their protocol is simply, hey, we come into orbit, you come up to us. That makes the most sense.
You're right. And that's how they did it last time, kind of too, except they came down to like, hey, are you at the rendezvous point? No. Right. Bye. That's these guys. Yeah.
You could even invert the thing from ET where maybe our ET hurt himself. Like, he has wings or something, or there's something either physical or technological that is broken with him. And so he can't just be at the rendezvous where he's supposed to be. I don't know.
Okay, I'm following everything. The only thing I'm still not quite grasping is the evangelical kind of tie-in, because everything we've said is like, whatever it is coming, and they start acting weird, which I don't see a lot of churches bringing a congregation of people to be like, hey, look, the minute the second coming happens, everyone's just going to act crazy and they're all wrong. Like, there's got to be, again, I want to go back to like the idea of just like, even something as allegorical as like, yes, his body dies and then his alien form comes out, because it's just like, look, I grew up with those types of things and going to certain movies, and they would come out and you'd come out of the movies and there were like worksheets that they would have that you could like, how did this character act like how Jesus acted at this? It's like, it doesn't have to be a 1-for-1, but there has to be some sort of connection other than evangelicals acted crazy, because it's like, well, that's not gonna appeal.
I mean, I think that's kind of a shorthand for whatever we wanted to like make it. But I do agree that one of the most evangelical people in here, as we stated earlier, to be the reiterator in a positive fashion, the real evangelical is Elon Musk treating these people like gods. Yeah, and we already established that they're going to say that they're not, and that will satisfy Christians. And Homeboy's going to die like Christ. Like that, we did it.
But wait, hold on.
I'm lost. Yeah.
Yeah, ahead, Ed, I think you're using evangelical a little cavalierly. I think what happens is the world goes into lockdown because there's either an asteroid or a ship, right? I think our main human character's mom has crosses on the wall, is overtly religious, maybe even speaks about Jesus, and her feeling as an avatar for belief is like, don't worry, everything will be okay. God is going to take care of us. Meanwhile, Elon Musk, who's overtly atheistic, is like, yes, this is my chance at, I mean, use all the language. Like, this is my chance at ascendance. This is, the gods have come to earth. All of knowledge will be given to me. You know, make him say the words of like a follower of Satan in so many ways. Then our main character is torn between like, is this, I don't want to go through all this dangerous stuff, but I want to help my ET friend. And the ET friend then reassures like, everything will be okay. You just have to believe there's a plan, and this is part of the plan. I met you guys. That's part of the plan. I met you guys so you could help me do this. Like, you just have to trust in it. And then that all comes to a head at the end where, number one, Elon Musk is convinced, you know, there's no better life for me unless I rendezvous with this ship and they take me to utopia because human beings suck and I hate them. Meanwhile, our kid dies and is resurrected in his true alien form. And that it somehow, we have to figure out exactly how that is the final linchpin to everybody surviving. But if that becomes the final linchpin to everybody surviving, and then before they part, he just leaves them with the words of like, remember, you know, what is meant to be will meant to be. You just have to believe, that sort of thing.
Maybe the best friend, maybe they get on the spaceship with the best friend and everybody's, you know, our main character goes with him because he doesn't want to leave him alone. And our villain is like, you can't be the first human to meet, you know, aliens, and just tries to shoot the kid. And our hero jumps in front, our alien jumps in front, saves the kid, but isn't a complete sacrifice. He sacrificed his old human body to save his best friend. And that sacrifice just shows him how much he cares. And they maybe have a small conversation about like, look, I'm going to miss you, but this is my family and I've got to move on just like you have to move on. And there's a conversation with that where they both let each other go apart and support each other in that, you know, and he could literally be like, also, we're going to be pen pals just through space.
Intergalactic pen pals.
By the way, that's a great little coda that like his communications device is still up on the condemned 11th floor. And that's the denouement of the movie, is that he can sneak up there when his mom's not looking and still, it's almost like he's going to pray and have private conversations while looking at the sky, have private conversations with his buddy.
I'm going to say it on this one. Chills.
So really is it like, I don't know, is it like whatever they're building, is it something like you have to gain entry again, try like if the spaceship is heaven and you have to gain entry by building this thing, is it that like the Elon character he's like, I've built the best rocket, you know, all these earthly things, but he doesn't have the one shitty put together device that they had faith to make, and he like blows up and can't reach the ship? Because I assume that's got to be the same allegory of like, you can't get to heaven with your earthly stuff, you know?
Okay, maybe too, but go ahead. Go. No, are you thinking what I'm thinking in regards to like it? This is too sciencey, but like there is something that prevents stuff from just going in. You know, they have things where they would prevent that. Yeah, and I just think he's going right towards it to get torn apart, and he's dooming everybody to do that. But obviously, ET saves the kids from that fate.
I think you make it even simpler. So number one, I always felt like they weren't necessarily building a ship; they were literally trying to stow away on Elon's ship, which I think is still a more fun act two.
I have something for that too, by the way.
So hold on to it, because I think this is how it ends. When they finally dock with the ship or whatever, the alien ship's essentially airlock is a field of undulating white light, and you can only pass through if you're pure of heart. It's essentially like the end of that John Krasinski, Natalie Portman Fountain of Youth movie on Apple, where it's like they scan your brain waves, and if you are pure of heart, you can enter the ship. And if not, you maybe they don't even disintegrate you, but they lock you out. You can't pass through the semi-permeable membrane. That's where Elon can get so pissed, to Ron's point, that like the boy from Earth is able to stick his arm through and Elon is not able. And when Elon realizes that he's not able, he goes to hurt the boy or whatever, and our ET jumps back through the portal to take the bullet, however that choreography works. But I think it's just as simple as like there's an alien shimmering light membrane that only lets through the pure of heart. Like it's literally like the perfect.
And then he's got to burn up and re-entry because that's like the fires of hell.
Right. He has to damn himself essentially, but yes, 100%.
I 100% cool with that.
Yep.
And here's my idea for so because there's a conversation we mentioned earlier where it's like you guys were here for a reason, right? And I became friends with you for a reason because I need you. And then he literally goes through each character. You're great at planning. You're sneaky and fast. You have all those physical capabilities. Every time we play our complex Olympics, you are the one who always wins it. You know, like, so each person has their Ocean's 11 sort of skill that he needs to be able to get on the ship.
I just wouldn't want that. I just wouldn't want that to feel
cheesy,
cynical.
by the way.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I think there's a danger that feels cynical, more like I'm the alien and I've been collecting specific humans that I need for my plan.
No, definitely shouldn't feel like that. It would just be like, I became friends with you guys and look at what you guys are great at.
I think it's more like you treat that like the end of Wizard of Oz, where like what you thought you needed was in you all along.
Oh,
so
sure.
It's like they all think that they're losers. And then at the end, before he goes away in the spaceship, it's like, look, you thought this, but you helped us do this earlier. And you thought this, but you helped us do this earlier. And I think I'm going to miss you most of all, but you'll be okay without me. You know, like that's where I think it needs to happen.
And the key thing
right.
to all of it is actually like faith. In this case, faith in the plan that we created and faith in fate and all that kind of jazz. But as you're going into these larger levels of school, you have to have faith in yourself. Like you have to actually believe in yourself in a big way, because we're getting this serious business. So like, yeah, him imparting some of that to the kids. Yeah, I see exactly what that is.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
are we done?
I that feels pretty cohesive. I mean, I think the specifics of whatever they need to do to sneak into SpaceX and stow away on the ship are opaque, but that's more of a screenwriting exercise than what we need to do here in our little development meeting.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have a strong Act 1 and a strong Act 3, which are really the secret sauce when you're sitting down to write anything.
Yeah, I definitely envision the middle part, us being able to at least do like a heist, to Ron's point, some sort of heist that is using something that he has built, and he needs this one extra thing. I need that guy's leg, and I need that guy's leg adventure in the middle where they get one key thing. But I do agree also, though, that them being able to monitor Elon, maybe that's part of the communication array that he's building or whatever, because like Elon's going to send out a lot of tweets, but I don't know if you're going to know as many specifics about anything about how to get into SpaceX and all that.
But I think at least one. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
No, I think it's as simple as like from the minute. This is not going, by the way, with your idea, Ed, that like this is all being done in secret and everybody thinks it's an asteroid, but a select few know it's an alien ship. I
love it just being an out-and-out ship now. That's better.
I think from the beginning, Elon Musk, because this is what he does in real life, just jumps the gun on everything and announces like, I am sending a mission to rendezvous with this ship and I will be the representative of Earth.
No,
like,
I get that. He definitely has a big enough digital footprint to do that. He definitely would do that, period.
And you would know where
I would just say, just to round out, because we've been talking in general terms of like we know there's kind of one ringleader kid, there's the alien kid, and then I assume 2 to maybe 3 extras. I think one of them, possibly whoever our Elliot is, has to have some sort of like crisis of faith at some point in the second act of like, maybe I don't believe all of this, or maybe helping is not the right idea. Because I think that's important to have that moment of like
a breakthrough
you
moment.
have to have faith that this is what we've got to do. You know,
you need a Garden of Gethsemane moment, to use a biblical term, where it's like Elon Musk essentially offers a deal to one of the kids, and the kid maybe pulls a Judas or maybe not, but like, who's going to eat the apple? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think you got.
yeah,
I think you have to have.
so.
I think you do have to have. Is it that, or is it also? Is it both? Because I love a Judas kid. That's amazing. Judas kid doesn't get to go through the membrane and go to space and meet the aliens. Judas kid sucks. You know what I mean?
Somebody's shitty older brother, maybe.
Right.
Along for the Josh Brolin in the Goonies.
Right. So because like all these adventures, everybody believes in the end, or they all get to the end. No, that's not real. There are people who have that crisis of faith, or will sell you out for 30 pieces of silver, and they don't get to go through the membrane to heaven to meet the alien parents. They don't get to. And also, our main kid, at some point, being like, we just need to quit and go home. We literally can't do this. This is awful. We're it's raining on us. We're on a train in the middle of a lockdown city going to Albuquerque.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, to give
this
one
sucks.
of the like, we got to flesh out the personalities a little bit, because I think there is one who's like the scaredy cat that doesn't want to do anything ever. You know, they all still love him, but he's always the one that's like, I've got to check with my mom first. And I think that's the one who's, you know, that's the comedy of that heist to get them out is like, half the heist is just getting out of that apartment complex away from your parents in the middle of an alien invasion.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, that might be the character that gets like tempted. I don't know if I love the idea of just like a kid betraying, and then it's like, well, that's because you're the bad guy kid. It's like, we have a bad guy. I'm fine with just Elon being the bad guy. I don't want one of the kids being a bad guy. I think that's, you know,
I kind of
goes-
agree.
I don't know if it's bad to lose faith.
No, no, but
stuff.
it's not Judas. It's kind of the Thomas, right? Like,
Okay.
it's, you know, I think that's what it is. Like, have that moment of doubt, but then you go with you know, you have faith in the plan because you have faith in your friends. Maybe this whole thing is bullshit, but you believe in your friends, right? And that you don't want to let them down, even if this ends up being nothing. So I think there's got to be, you know, and that might be our Elliot, because you need one kid to have kind of that big kind of arc, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that sparks for me as you're talking about that is like one kid, and again, I'm leaning into the Zaslav stuff, but if one kid is your science nerd who is maybe not overtly atheistic, but is always the kid who like shrugs his shoulders, rolls his eyes at any talk of like fate and purpose and things are supposed to happen. But at the end, he comes around because he's been through the adventure with them. And now he's convinced like, oh man, this was
I kind of don't know why that really can't be Elliot, because I think that's one thing that's so interesting about this dynamic is that the kid is always so credulous. Right. The kid always, when they meet the alien, 10 minutes, they're scared of him. The rest of it, they believe everything the alien says. They're all on board for everything. It's kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? Especially if I've known you for 8 years, you never floated anything. You never did anything weird. I just never went over your house.
When you were a kid, there, like, even your best friend, there was always a time where you're like, you're full of shit. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
your dad didn't really do this. That, you know, like,
you didn't hunt Wolverines with a shotgun.
Right. There's got to be that moment, maybe that's his crisis of faith. That just like, I don't know if I believe any of this. You know, like, all you've shown me so far is like this crazy thing that you built. Like, that doesn't mean anything. You know.
Yeah, and at the end when he shows his true form, that's when obviously anybody would believe, but our character and our characters that are still there have earned that by going on the word of this kid, you know, that's ostensibly blonde, blue-eyed, or
I actually, like,
kid.
not to like know something, but going back to something we said really originally, where it's like, "Oh my God, you're an alien! Prove it." I'd be like, "No, don't prove it." You just have to believe. Like, if I told you guys right now I'm an alien, and you're like, "Prove it," I'm like, "I can't prove it. I just need you to believe me."
The whole thing is faith now. Oh, sick.
You know what?
Yeah.
That plays into the whole Messiah moment at the end too, because if the whole idea is like, no, I'm in a human body, and like I can't leave the human body without being on my ship or something like that, and so that then becomes like, all right, when he takes the bullet, but he's on the ship, then his human body can die and he can be reborn in his true alien self. Like, just give it some rules like that. I mean, that works for me.
Cool. As long as we, because somebody's going to be like, so where'd you steal that human body from?
I think it's just
that could be a joke. That could be a joke.
Honestly, it's like,
where did you steal that? I grew it.
I see it as like almost like a hazmat suit that this race wears, right? You know, like it's not a real body if you were to look at it. You know, it's like their hazmat suit's like, I can't take this thing off until I get on my ship. Like, I don't think I would believe that if I was a kid, but I think that's part of the fun, right? At a certain point, it's just like, I can't prove it, but I'm asking you as your best friend, like, please just believe me, you know?
That could be fun because it could be like a little moment where the kid who doubts always doubts, and then maybe one of the other kids is a kid that always believes, and the kid's like, oh, come on, just trust him. Anything's possible. It's like, you believe in Bigfoot. Relax. You know? and all the tests, like this, some kid gets the temerity to poke him, is like, you're bleeding. It's not blue. It's not green. It's like, obviously, I would have to approximate that. It's just like, you guys are dumb, and this is pissing me off. Right, a little section of the movie that's like that, but obviously the kids are won over for the adventure. Yeah, I love that stuff, man. That little kid doubt. I love that. Silly. It's all silly too, you know, because it just adds for the comedy part of this.
All right, so I mean, to wrap up the cast, you have your ET kid, you have, you know, the ET kid's best friend, who's sort of our Elliot point of view character, who
none of us know any 10-year-old actors.
I know. I think the casting on this is going to be
personality. Yeah, this is going to be we're getting personality archetypes. Keep going.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all I'm trying to run down. We have our main Elliot kid, whose journey is both about like having the courage to do things for themselves. Maybe they come from the overprotective home, which would actually jive, like if his or her mother is divorced and maybe is overtly religious, and for that reason, you know, is very concerned all the time. Or maybe it's another friend's mom who's overtly religious. I don't know.
And also that leads that kid real quick. That leads that Elliot kid into being I'm a science person. I like science. I like to know stuff. I like to know about aliens and shit. And I don't think any of this qualifies. So it could be the doubting Thomas. Are we doing that as well? Because like if you have an overly Christian parent,
I feel like we're trying to put all these personality traits into the one character. I was trying to give a rundown of like who the other characters might be. Because I think in addition to the Elliot, you would have the nerdy science, doubting Thomas type of kid. Then I think you need at least one older brother, older sister to drive them or to pay for things. And that person could perhaps be tempted by an offer to sell the group out later. Not that they actually go through with it. I think I've come around to Billy's way of thinking that like you don't actually need to have a Judas, but somebody to resist the temptation would be good. So I don't know. I mean, that's 4 characters: an older brother, a best friend, E.T., and the science nerd. Who else, if there is anybody else? I do think
maybe one athletic dude, like the jock who doesn't fit in with the other jocks.
It's got to be a jock who's a jock in like a really bizarre sport. You know, he's not like a football, baseball, basketball guy. It's like,
well, he could be a rollerblader.
Definitely. What if she is a what's the roller derby? She's a roller derbyist, an aspiring roller derbyist.
I love it.
Do they still have that?
Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say, or an X Games kid, what have you?
Yeah, either one is fine.
Could we have the girl be? Is it cliche nowadays with the Ghostbuster new movies of it all to have like the girl be the science nerd person? Is that presently cliche to make them smart instead of just bopping around? Because if so,
I don't think cliche matters with kids.
I think maybe an older sister that can drive them around is good. Then if we're gonna do that, like this sort of ostensibly male group of kids in the apartment complex that do this, Little Rascals jazz, and then an older sister to drive them around and pay for stuff, as Bill is saying.
And one of them who has a crush on the older sister, because obviously,
yeah, of course,
hilarious.
Yeah.
Is she the older sister of the kid? Is Ellie? I don't want to give everything to Elliot. Who's crushing on her then? Is it Elliot? Or
I think it would be Elliot's older sister. And then maybe it's either the science nerd or the roller derby athlete the rollerblade athlete who's crushing on her. Maybe it's the rollerblade athlete has a crush on her because that gives that character more to do in the script.
Cool. Well, also the idea is that at least we have one person who is physically capable in the jazz.
They're all physically capable. They're all physically capable enough given the circumstances that we put them in.
Yeah,
I like that we went from someone was just like Tiny Tim, Bob Cratchit's son, like could barely move, and now they're like X Games Tony Hawk. Like,
well, maybe that kid maybe that's the kid.
We really take you on a roller coaster ride on this show, don't we?
Oh, are we still doing the kid with the broken leg thing, or no?
No, it doesn't matter.
We want to do that.
I think we do. I personally think the right alchemy.
The doubt goes out the window because if somebody heals a broken leg, you'll be done.
I wouldn't. Unless you want to do the inverse, like have the roller kid have a broken arm the whole time. If nothing else, it just gives it a little bit of authenticity. It'd be like, fine, if you're an alien, then like use your alien technology to fix my arm. Like it doesn't work like that. It's like, one of my favorite lines of the Terminators when they're interrogating Michael Biehn, he's like, I didn't build the thing. I don't know how it works. Like I love it,
because it goes against the trope.
I don't know.
Yeah, it goes against the trope of every single person in every single empire being able to explain every single thing about this giant stuff. It's ridiculous. It's so untenable. I think I like older sister to, I guess Elliot, because that's the only way he'd ever get out of the house. If he's just him and his mom, somebody has to run interference, I guess, but then both her kids are out. But then if on the one of her, I don't know. I just think that would ruin your mom if you snuck out during the alien quarantine. So maybe some.
That's fun though, because I think honestly it could be the mom that like, I don't know. She could be the one that gets the police that are trying to get them. She's inadvertently
that adds an element.
Okay. That's all. That's what I'm trying to get.
Chasing them. Elon's chasing them. So now they have multiple people going after him. That's a great idea, Billy.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to get to. So like that's beautiful. I love this dude. Like I said, older sister to homeboy, they leave. This roller derby character, I don't understand the roller derby. I don't understand the rollerblading or the roller derby. I was
just making up an athlete for entertainment.
I'm just
purposes.
saying a nice regular anybody. I'm just saying like somebody. Where are the Are we just Benettoning
rollerblading on this goddamn program?
I don't think it's not a real sport. I didn't say that. I didn't even think it.
Nobody didn't even say you just. I didn't even say you said that. You just said that.
Well, maybe it's on the top of my mind. So what I'm saying now, obviously you guys are athletes. Leave me alone. What I'm saying is, older sister can be whatever. Elliot, person that's physically capable for Ron could be any sort of just the. Like he said,
I don't care.
The person, anything like, karate's interesting. Yeah, karate's interesting for a group of kids. Boom. Okay, good. Thank you. A real archetype. Okay, so karate. That's three. Elliot, older sister, karate kid, and then science kid. All right, now I understand the cast. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
I understand the cast now.
Great. Well, that then brings us to our casting. As we often do on this show, we're going to punt casting 10-year-olds because who knows?
Ridiculous.
I'm not Googling anything.
However,
no.
I would like us to throw some names around for our Elon Musk tech titan, like someone who could pull off an even more zealotous, it's sort of like an Elon Musk, Peter Thiel combo, like someone who believes in, the promised land of aliens so much that they'll risk. That's not a bad, he could definitely do that.
Who's the
I
other
guess
guy
it's
we've
like,
been pulling
is
for
it
villain?
supposed to be someone more menacing or a little bit more like mustache twirling,
I think kind of both. Like if you think about actual Elon Musk in this role, which I don't know, I have been, he's both menacing, but also with his just lumbering, burly, kind of weirdly alien look to him, he's also somewhat threatening. So it's like he has a real physical presence. He's definitely off kilter, weird, can play kind of psychotic, unhinged when you get him to that point. Honestly, Cumberbatch is a really good call, and like we haven't often seen him play a snarling villain, which he should do more of.
I think he'd be good at it. That British accent.
The British accent sells it too.
Yeah. And then we have the Karate Kid kick him in the nuts at the end just for our own entertainment.
No, he gets zapped out of heaven because the portal doesn't let him through, and then he crashes his spaceship.
Before kicked in the nuts.
Look, Karate Kid's gonna get a peck on the forehead from the older sister. That's the most catharsis Karate Kid gets in this movie. It's not his.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. Little baby arcs for each of them. Like Science Kid learns to have faith. Elliot learns to have faith in himself.
I think she just signs his cast with the heart.
Hey,
better.
that's beautiful.
Even
that's
better.
beautiful.
Yeah.
You can't always get what you want. Okay, if we're throwing out weird casting choices, I also think, I know this is an oldie but goodie and nobody likes this guy anymore, but Clive Owen is 60 years old, has a beefy fat face, has an English accent, radiates menace especially at this point in his life.
Yeah.
I just think that's kind of up there, dude. As far as like these people who would be in this movie, see this as a big role for them, go for it in it. That at least genre of person is money to me.
Clive Owen's great idea.
The name that comes to mind for me, who would be a little bit more overly comedic, but Paul Walter Hauser, who is building quite an impressive resume, is going to be, I think, Mole Man in the Fantastic Four movies.
That guy can do just enough menace. I've seen him do. Remember when Philip Seymour Hoffman would try to get hardcore for like 3 seconds in a movie, like Mission Impossible 3 or something? Mm-hmm. Hauser could do a little bit of that. He really can. And I just think almost.
I know who this is. What's his name?
He was in that movie Richard Jewell about that dude who they pinned that bombing on or whatever. Paul Walter Hauser with a H-A-U.
Oh, I'm looking at a picture now.
Here's another weird one. Mads Mikkelsen.
I mean, not a weird one at all. He's the archetypal screen villain. Like that dude is nothing but menace and stature.
The sharp,
and he's got
the one thing I do.
German accent.
I think though. I think this guy being British or I just realistically, bro, this person being like some sort of. We can't do South African, man. We just can't. But I think some indeterminate accent like that is cool, Ron. I get what you're saying, but like somebody that like can be awkward and menacing in equal measure. I think that's kind of the task. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They can present awkward, like almost like a Clark Kent to the regular. I'm just a bumbling. I'm an idiot. And then when he gets serious, he doesn't get smarter, but he does get more menacing. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Who did we pitch for Lex Luthor in our Superman one? Just pull one of those guys.
Chris Evans and Tom Hanks. So I don't know if those would work.
Do Tom Hanks menacing kids in the E.T. reboot? I wouldn't pick that on my bingo card, but like it's kind of amazing, actually.
Hey,
that's kind of amazing.
It is
kind of amazing. And
you want to get some conservatives to come see this film, have an allegory, and some reason to hate Tom Hanks? Come on.
Dude, and just think about this. I personally think that in the world, I'm just saying it's weird that Elon is the space guy. I like Jeff Bezos trying to be the main space guy, like a true American. a true American asshole trying to be the space guy against these other foreign space guys and the NASA and everything. There's something I like about that. I like him being an American. I like Tom Hanks or somebody American for this role, so we can just show that like that sort of oligarchy and crappiness is American.
I agree with that.
There's something there.
I do agree with that.
I mean,
All right,
Tom Hanks, he can do whatever he wants. He's a great actor, so if he wants to be menacing, he can be menacing.
Oh, I mean, yeah. And look, Tom Hanks is also a great name to put on a poster when the rest of your cast is unknown kids. So
Right.
let's not overlook that. So to that point, who's the other name we're going to put on this poster as director? From the mind of, the creator of, the director of, because I do think that that's going to become more important given the unknown nature of most of the cast, but maybe not. This is also a little bit of a tough pull for us, because I don't know if there are a ton of like up and coming family friendly 4-quadrant directors. It's something we've talked about before on this show, but it's like they're just not making them like they used to when they were making your Spielbergs and your Lucases and your Camerons and all those guys. You know
who I would like to proffer, because we've used to bring him up a lot, and then he fell out of favor. And I think this is just the exact type of thing that would blend everything he does well, all in one thing. And this man's name is Brad Bird. We used to bring him up for a lot of dumb stuff, but look at this product. Yeah. Kids, their belief, an alien piece of technology, a knowledge of live action stunts and effects, but also with the kid stuff. Let's say Tomorrowland never happened. Let's throw that away. It's just Mission Impossible, Iron Giant, and The Incredibles. I just think that guy, that's a slam dunk. Tomorrowland never happened, guys. We're in another dimension that never happened.
Works for me.
I don't know if that works for me, just for the reason that
it's a suggestion. It's a suggestion.
I get it, but I just want us to have an actual conversation about it.
Yeah.
I think Brad Bird is a very talented director. I think, number one, whatever his story sense is going to overwhelm the movie, because he is also a writer first and foremost. And number two, if we want this to have a little bit of an urban ethnic feel to it, he is definitely not the guy. So if these kids are coming, I'm just saying,
it would be in Iowa. Yeah, if we hired him, it would be in Iowa. They're in the mean streets of Iowa City, guys. Yeah, I do agree with that. I
mean, the name that comes to mind for me is actually, I don't know if this makes sense or not, but like Shonda Rhimes has always worked in television, but is talented as hell, knows how to pull heartstrings. I just watched that Netflix show she did about a murder in the White House. And again, she wasn't the showrunner or anything, but her company produced it. I don't know. She has really good taste at the very least. I would be curious if she would want to cross over and do something in features. This feels like it would be the perfect crossover material for someone coming out of like a very storied, like I almost would look at any of the Arrowverse guys too, like a Greg Berlanti, one of those guys, because there's just a lot of similarities to like TV action and heartstrings, but just pumped up a notch and distilled,
I have a suggestion. Joe Cornish, who did Attack the Block, he did The Kid Who Would Be King. I think he kind of already plays in this playground a little bit, maybe dial back the intensity a little bit for this one, but I definitely think he could bring that urban kind of flair to it, and also clearly knows how to work within kids movies. Like that Kid Who Would Be King, I think was like, it didn't do very well, but it was like, when's the last time someone's made a movie that was like a live action movie that wasn't streaming, that was like specifically for kids? Didn't come around a lot. But I think he knows how to do that like urban fantasy action movie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I remember that movie. I never saw it, but I remember it getting really good reviews and saying like, this is one of the best pure kids movies that have been out in a while.
It was like a PG live action kids movie that was not an IP, which like that never happens,
That's cool.
I think technically it was a riff on the King Arthur mythos, if I'm not mistaken.
Of course it was.
Ooh.
Of course it was.
Yeah, we don't know nothing about that. I'm down with that. I also think that is there anything to having the director be like from another country looking at America? Because just to get us some hate comments, Jesse Armstrong just did that Mountainhead movie that I think is very dividing. It's just a play with a bunch of white dudes talking, and some people think that's just awful on its face, and some people don't like the way it's dramatized. But I just think he does get the people who don't consider the rest of us real people. But I think he's just going to be somebody that comes on to replace us writing, to Bill's point earlier. So I don't want that either. But yeah,
out there that Joe Cornish is English, so he is.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and he does do the intrigue of the alien jazz, like from their perspective and on a budget.
Also, Attack the Block is great, folks. If you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Definitely.
Very good.
What about the team that did the Miss Marvel TV show?
The only thing is, like, and even with like the ones that we've thrown out, I mean, maybe besides Shonda Rhimes, is like you said name on a poster, and E.T. is almost more about Spielberg than it is about other than Drew Barrymore. I couldn't tell you anyone that's in that movie. So
Completely.
It's like, do we just swing for the fences and like who's the name? I don't like JJ for this, but who's the J? Is it Favreau? Is it Abrams? Is it Spielberg? You know, like, do you just say like, do you want to try this version of it? Like, you almost have to get the director.
Spike Lee's E.T. Let's get nuts.
I mean, I'm down actually. Like that would be kind of amazing.
But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Like somebody who would want to if we aren't looking at somebody from the outside looking into America, somebody that understands America, understands our relationship with money and oligarchy and all that jazz, wants to make a comment on it, isn't scared. I think Spike Lee's up there.
I think Spike Lee's I think that's the pick.
I mean, there's
a weird pick.
If we didn't pick somebody like Ryan Coogler earlier either. But yeah, I do think it needs to be a classic, huge director. I agree with that mandate. So who are we saying? Who is the Spielberg of our day? Actually bankable, does heart and pathos. Because that's how you actually make money these days.
To me, it's either. Well, I think Abrams has lost so much goodwill that I don't know if that's the right call. But to me, it's Favreau. Like he's moved himself in that position now between all the movies he's made, you know, and owning Star Wars essentially.
Yeah, I agree with that. Although Favreau already made Zathura, and I just wonder if that. First of all, that is a knock against him, but at this point, he's well past it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
I just wonder if he would be hesitant to play in the same playground.
But it's a good name that we put on the poster. I like it.
Tim Burton. I don't know.
I'll just say again for Shonda Rhimes, the other reason why I think she might be an interesting draw is, again, if we are going to keep the spiritual aspect of it front and center in some way, that's someone with a ton of crossover appeal to a faith-based audience. So I think that's another reason why that person would work. Again, I don't know how interested Shonda Rhimes would be in even doing a feature, but I just think that's a name that's big enough, has enough of a built-in audience, would have enough curiosity around what is this person going to do with the material, has a sensibility that matches the material, and has crossover with a faith-based audience. So I don't know. That's my final pitch from me.
I don't like. It's not. That's a great pull, and I don't know why it's not gelling.
Well, she's not really a director. She's more of a writer than a director. So
right.
That could be it. Yeah. But yeah.
What about like Ryan Johnson?
He's like, he shouldn't be controversial. I think he's a phenomenal director. I don't think he's made a stinker yet, but he's one of those guys. He almost is in the same category of J.J. Abrams, just in terms of being like a lightning rod for fan controversy.
Oh yeah, I mean anybody who does Star Wars is going to get shit. That's the problem.
But him specifically for The Last Jedi, because his whole bag was like, everything that you think you know, think differently about it, and everyone was said no. You know, so
Yeah, but I could see that the pieces already started. Yeah. Ron Howard. I mean, he did do a Star Wars, but
he's also, I don't know. Is he a draw anymore? I guess he might be. Like, I would also, throw Bob Zemeckis in there, but I don't know that he's a draw anymore.
Yeah, see, that's wild. And I'm also thinking about, like, even if we do out of the box.
Is that ridiculous?
I don't want to see Ridley Scott's version of this movie.
I don't either.
I'm not mentally prepared for.
Dude, I was going through my Rolodex of people who have done an urban setting in a way that is at least stylistically true, and I came upon like David Fincher. David Fincher's E.T. is like a comedy Mad Libs pitch. So I'm just saying that's ridiculous. So it's like
Greta, maybe. I know we throw her around a lot, but.
Yeah,
this one's tough, man. I honestly, if I was a director, I don't know if I'd want to take on E.T., you know?
That's actually a really interesting point on your part, that like, man, are you following a huge, I don't know. It's a tough act to follow. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's literally the logo of Steven Spielberg's production company. That's what you're stepping in to be like, let me show you my spin on this.
Yeah. Which honestly, like, I would love Spielberg to do this, but I have a feeling he'd be like, nah, after Lost World, I don't do second helpings of my things anymore.
Yeah, which is smart. You know, like, this really is difficult, dude, because we're talking about bankable. Is a bankable director even really a thing anymore? I mean, all the people we think are bankable, besides Ryan Coogler,
or Christopher Nolan. And I don't want to see Christopher Nolan.
I don't either.
You know?
I don't either. And that's not my traditional Christopher Nolan hate. I think for this particular project, it's a particular.
No, he's a terrible choice for this. Yeah.
Okay. The last name I'll throw out, and then I'm just willing to let all of this go. I guess it really depends on what's going to happen when it comes out. But what about James Gunn? He can do the heart. He can do the big set pieces. He knows how to work in that corporate structure.
Well, my one pitch that I would say, and not just to wrap us up, to make sure this isn't like the longest episode that we already solved in the world, I do think that he's got the actual hubris to do this. I'm not trying to say I know him as a person, but the way that he's centered himself in all these ads and stuff, and the way that it's me that's making DC. DC's been crap for 50 years, but me, I'm going to make it great. I'm going to write everything. I'm going to write this stupid Creature Commando. Oh, it's me. If there's one human on this earth that has directing talent, is good with comedy, is good with science fiction, has experience with effects, and has the ego to take this thing on, it's James Gunn from the mouths of Ron. I agree.
You're not wrong. I mean, he is making a concerted effort to make himself Spielberg, at least in PR terms. So
I'm down. Yeah. I think he'd do a great job. He's great at heart. I mean, every movie I've ever watched that he did made me feel stuff. So
you ever watch Slither?
No. I haven't watched that one. That's the only one I haven't seen.
Well, I mean, you'll feel something. It's probably, you know. Well, I'll let you watch it.
But yeah, no, dude, guys. Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, this whole conversation is more just interesting about the fact of like, wow, we don't really have a golden age of directors like we used to. You know, that's kind of sad.
Coogler's it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's something that's come up before on the show, and I think will come up again. And if you want to hear us talk even more about it, maybe go and subscribe to the podcast, The Greatest Pod, where we often talk about such things. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and declare it. We didn't need to do, almost 2 hours on ET, but this is the 50th reboot. So, we're celebrating, baby. And once again, not for the 50th time, but for the 50th reboot, I will declare we have achieved reboot.
Oh, yeah.
Dance it out. Man, if I can, I'm going to give the very truncated version of this pitch, but when an alien ship shows up in orbit, an 8-year-old boy living in an apartment, or an 8-year-old boy with a friend group that all lives together close in an apartment. They're a bunch of losers who have religious mothers. This kid tells them, hey, I'm an alien. They're like, prove it, and he can't. But he shows them that in the condemned 11th floor of their apartment building, he's built some kind of crazy looking contraption, or maybe it's just a bunch of junk. But he says it called out to the aliens, and that's why they're parked in orbit. And now he needs his friends, these people that he's bonded with as he's been stranded on Earth for the past 8 years, to help him get into orbit. Get into orbit. They're going to steal the spaceship of the world's foremost space billionaire, who himself has declared that he will be Earth's ambassador and make first contact with these aliens. And it becomes a race against time to get on board the spaceship so that they can get to the mothership before this guy gets up there and messes it all up. The whole thing is an allegory for faith and for trusting in each other. Because while our main kid can't prove he's an alien, he asks his friends to believe in him and trust that they all came together for a reason. And at the end, they make it to the mothership, and through a pane of undulating light, which may be heaven or may just be a force field that reads your mind, our ET kid is able to go through. Our human kid, even the best friend, discovers he can go through, and our billionaire whack job discovers he can't. In a fit of pique, he tries to harm the human best friend, but our alien jumps back out of the portal, takes a hopefully metaphorical, but maybe literal, bullet for his best friend, and in so doing is reborn in true Christ-like fashion to his alien form, whereupon he has to embark for the stars, leaving his best friend sad, but through the course of the adventure, having discovered that he does have the wherewithal, the strength, the courage to move on with life, and more specifically, into middle school without his best friend. His faith is rewarded. We've seen a Christ-like rebirth, and the evil atheist who put all of his faith in aliens to show him the way to spirituality burns up on re-entry, getting the hellfire he deserves. David Zaslav's happy because we have serviced our faith-based audience, and in the meantime, we have a pretty damn fun ET reboot.
Not to mention in the end credits, the kid goes up to the 11th floor and talks to his best buddy.
Turns on that hunk of junk, starts to make static, and right before we cut to credits, we just hear, hello? Oh, they're talking again. There was a lot to this one, but guys, I think we did some good work here today for our 50th reboot.
Proud of it.
Yeah, and in the spirit of this show, the first 20 minutes you could probably fast forward through, but we get there.
Hey, I think one of the unique entertainment things of our thing we're doing here is we actually do show how we get to these things, and it isn't just highlights. So watch the game, baby. You understand the game if you watch the game. You can't just watch the highlights. Show your work, watch the game. If you enjoy the sport, you like watching the game.
And if you're already at almost 2 hours watching us, click subscribe for all that's good in this world.
Don't let Ron down. Come on, people. Well, that's it for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed all 50 of our reboots. If you haven't watched all of them, go back and do so. There's a hell of a lot of entertainment in joining us on this writer's room ride-along. Until next reboot, I remain Producer Bill. That is Billy Business. That is Ed Greer. Down there is Ron Swallow. We're the Reboot Crew, and we will see you next reboot.